Alrighty, I am excited for Kathleen as our next presentator. She has a doctoral degree in educational psychology with a specialization in transpersonal psychology, a master's degree in psychological counseling. Over the years, Kathleen has studied philosophy, psychology, counseling, education, intuition development, energy healing, culturally diverse spiritual paths, and the UFO UAP phenomenon. Together with her husband for 13 years, they raised sheep and chickens who taught her about the incredible intelligence of nature's creatures. I love that part of your biography, and that at the deepest level, we are all truly one consciousness. For her pure energy presentations and intuitive guidance, Kathleen synthesizes her research and creates presentations. She teaches at colleges, wellness centers, local venues, and we are blessed to have her at the Ultimate Starbeam Conference. She also offers private intuitive guidance sessions with her Holy Well Oracle card readings. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Kathleen B. Covalt.
Thank you, Flo. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's great. And if you wouldn't mind, if I can just start sharing my screen and I will get right into my presentation. All righty. Let's do this. Okay. That was so great that Neil was talking about Thoth and Egypt, because that's going to segue very nicely into what I'm doing right now. I'm going to be presenting on the two great wisdom traditions and their teachings on star beings. And continuing from what Neil was talking about, the first great wisdom tradition is I'm going to be talking about the teachings of Hermes. So among the great masters of antiquity, there was one considered the master of masters. He is linked with Thoth. He may have been the very same being as Thoth. He is now known as Hermes Trismegistus, which means Hermes the thrice great. He was the revealer of alchemy, the originator of astrology, and a teacher of divine wisdom. Fragments of the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus were passed down over the many centuries by individuals in each generation who strove to keep alive the original purity of the Hermetic wisdom. The teachings have been closely guarded. The term hermetically sealed comes from the secrecy surrounding Hermeticism. Traditionally, the teachings were passed down verbally from master to student. When the ancient wisdom was written down at all, much of its meaning was veiled in terms of astrology and alchemy, so that only those possessing the keys could understand it. This was especially necessary at the time of the persecutions during the Middle Ages, when those in power tried to eradicate the secret teachings by the torture and death of its practitioners. Over the centuries and across many lands, a collection of Hermetic principles in the form of maxims, axioms, and precepts, which are essentially short sayings of truth and wisdom, known as the Kabbalion, were passed down verbally from teacher to student. The exact meaning of the term Kabbalion has been lost in history. In 1908, a book entitled The Kabbalion was published by the Yogi Publication Society in Chicago, Illinois. The anonymous authors called themselves the Three Initiates and provided explanations and commentary on these Hermetic principles. And these are the 7 Hermetic principles as listed in the Kabbalion. 1, the principle of mentalism. 2, the principle of correspondence. 3, the principle of vibration. 4, the principle of polarity. 5, the principle of rhythm. 6, the principle of cause and effect. And 7, the principle of gender. But for today, we're going to focus in on the principle of correspondence. And many people may actually know about this principle under this saying, as above, so below, as below, so above. And I like to give this example when I'm describing this principle because I think it's really great images that really help us retain the meaning of this. And on the left here, you can see the drawing of what's called a neuron, which is a nerve cell. Neurons are the core components of the central nervous system, which includes the brain and the spinal cord, and also the peripheral nervous system, which is everything else that comes off of the central spinal cord. Neurons are cells that process and transmit information via their connection with other cells. Many neurons together form a neural web. And on the right side here, that is an actual image of a neural web. So you've got this image of many neurons within a neural web. And then you have the image below. This is seen from space at night. And this is an image of truly a true image of Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. And you can see that there's great clusters of light where the hub of these cities exist in these states. And then if you can imagine highways and roadways running into and out of these cities and connecting them all. And you can kind of think of this as a web of communication at this level of existence. And then this image illustrates how astronomers simulate the universe. It's not an actual photo or picture, but it's representative of how astronomers think about what they consider a cosmic web. The matter in the universe is organized into filaments and voids in an intricate network of galaxies, this cosmic web. And so when we put these three images together, you can kind of get a feeling of as above, so below, and as below, so above, in that different types of patterns of organization exist at different levels of existence. And they are correlated in their similarity or sameness as well. And so when we get into what the Kabbalion teaches us about the principle of correspondence, we want to look at how the Kabbalion is teaching us reality is structured. So it says, for the purpose of convenience of thought and study, the Hermetic philosophy considers that the universe may be divided into three great classes of phenomena known as the three great planes, namely 1, the great physical plane, 2, the great mental plane, 3, the great spiritual plane. Now, here's the key point. These divisions are more or less artificial and arbitrary. For the truth is that all of the three divisions are but ascending degrees of the great scale of life, the lowest point of which is undifferentiated matter, and the highest point, that of spirit. The atom of matter, the mind of man, and the being of the archangel are all but degrees in one scale, and all fundamentally the same. The difference between them solely a matter of degree and rate of vibration. Some of you may be aware of the great teacher Paramahansa Yogananda. In 2013, a little book was published with his writings, and it was called Scientific Healing Affirmations. If you don't know who Yogananda is, he wrote the book Autobiography of a Yogi. And anybody on their spiritual path, this is one of the primary books I always recommend. Paramahansa Yogananda arrived in America in 1920 to begin the mission given to him by a line of enlightened masters in India to spread worldwide the ancient soul science of yoga meditation. And just like the Hermetic teachings, Yogananda says, the difference between matter and spirit is in the rate of vibration, a difference of degree, not of kind. And moreover, the different planes shade into each other so that no hard and fast divisions may be made between the higher phenomena of the physical and the lower of the mental, or between the higher of the mental and the lower of the spiritual. In short, the three great planes may be regarded as three great groups of degrees of life manifestation. Then the Hermeticists subdivide each of the three great planes into 7 minor planes, and each of these latter are also subdivided into 7 subplanes, all these divisions being more or less arbitrary, shading into each other and adopted merely for convenience of scientific study and thought. So again, I'm a very visual thinker, so I like images. So I give this example of cloud layers. And when you think of clouds, when you look up in a beautiful sky, sometimes have you ever noticed that there are clouds here, but clouds above are moving? Or sometimes these clouds are moving this way and these clouds are going in a completely different direction? Well, you're looking at cloud layers because as you go up from the surface of the earth, up in altitude, you get different densities of the atmosphere. You get different temperatures. Sometimes it usually goes the higher you get, the cooler you get, but sometimes they're inversions, and sometimes that's not exactly true. And anybody who's a pilot or flying anything has to understand how fast wind speed is at a certain altitude. It might be different at a different altitude. And so when you look at clouds, like these little cumulus clouds, they exist close to Earth. But those wispy cirrus clouds, they are further up. And so each of these layers have different little beings, cloud beings that exist at each of these layers. A cumulus little being does not live up here, and a cirrus little being does not live out down here, closer to the earth. They have their own area, but there's no hard and fast division between low, mid, and high in terms of cloud layers. It kind of goes, and each day, each moment probably, there's differences in where it's really this area or really this area. It's not hard and fast. And then there are some cloud formations like cumulonimbus. And these are the guys that can transcend and go up and exist at multiple layers. You can think of cumulus nimbus as being very powerful because they're the ones that provide us with thunderstorms and lightning. And if we want to talk about our spiritual development, sometimes you can think of yourself wanting to be like one of these guys because we want to be able to exist simultaneously at different levels of our existence. Now, in the Kabbalion for today's talk, the important points I want to make are they discuss beings. The 3 initiates talk about the beings. So let's go back to these divisions. In the 7 minor planes of the great spiritual plane, or the highest plane, there are beings that possess life, mind, and form as far above that of man of today as the latter is above the earthworm, mineral, or even certain forms of energy or matter. The life of these beings so far transcends ours that we cannot even think of the details of the same. Their minds so far transcend ours that to them we scarcely seem to think, and our mental processes seem almost akin to material processes. The matter of which their forms are composed is of the highest planes of matter. Nay, some are even said to be clothed in pure energy. On the 7 minor planes of the great spiritual plane exist beings of whom we may speak as angels, archangels, demigods. On the lower minor planes dwell those great souls we call masters and adepts. And we're going to be talking about masters and adepts in a little bit. Above them come the great hierarchies of the angelic hosts, unthinkable to man, and above those come those who may without irreverence be called the gods. So high in the scale of being are they, their being, intelligence, and power being akin to those attributed by the races of men to their conceptions of deity. These beings are beyond even the highest flights of the human imagination, the word divine being the only one applicable to them. And here's the thing. Many of these beings, as well as the angelic host, take the greatest interest in the affairs of the universe and play an important part in its affairs. These unseen divinities and angelic helpers extend their influence freely and powerfully in the process of evolution and cosmic progress. Their occasional intervention and assistance in human affairs have led to the many legends, beliefs, religions, and traditions of the race, past and present. Do not make the mistake of supposing that the little world you see around you, the earth, which is a mere grain of dust in the universe, is the universe itself. There are millions upon millions of such worlds and greater. And there are millions of such universes in existence within the infinite mind of the all. And even in our own little solar system, there are regions and planes of life far higher than ours, and beings compared to which we earthbound mortals are as the slimy life forms that dwell on the ocean's bed when compared to man. There are beings with powers and attributes higher than man has ever dreamed of the gods possessing. And yet, these beings were once as you, and still lower, and you will be even as they, and still higher in time. For such is the destiny of man, as reported by the illumined. So to summarize these ideas within the Hermetic teachings, there are multiples of physical worlds, multitudes of worlds that we would consider physical. And there are many planes of existence that we might consider spiritual. And upon all these worlds, there exist beings of great power and wisdom who help with humanity's evolution. And now we're going to go into another type of teaching called the teachings of the rainbow body. Within Tibetan Buddhism, there is a teaching that prepares human beings to achieve an enlightened state of consciousness called the rainbow body. After the death of an advanced human being, the human body shrinks, disappears, and is transformed into light, or could we say plasma. The result is a rebirth into a luminous body that can live and travel beyond our physical earth in the higher planes of existence. This image you might recognize. This is Padmasambhava in his rainbow body. This is one of the most frequently painted forms of the rainbow body. Padmasambhava is also known as Guru Rinpoche. Padmasambhava was a real, true Buddhist teacher in the 8th century who, it is said, achieved the great perfection. He is considered the founder of the Nyingma, or the ancient school, which is the oldest of the 4 major traditions of Tibetan Buddhism. It is believed that he raised or accelerated the vibration of his body until it was transmuted into light and became a rainbow body, also known as a light body. This was a fantastic, important book that I read. It was published in 2016 by Father Francis V. Tizo. It's called The Rainbow Body and Resurrection, Spiritual Attainment, the Dissolution of the Material Body, and the Case of Khenpo Achu. Father Francis Tizo actually went and interviewed eyewitnesses and people who lived in the location of Khenpo Achu, who they say in 1998 actually achieved his rainbow body. He was a Tibetan Buddhist monk. Father Francis V. Tizo is currently a Catholic priest who serves in the diocese in Italy. He's so brilliant. If you ever get to go on YouTube and look at any of his presentations, brilliant man. He was born in New York. He graduated with a bachelor's in medieval studies from Cornell. He earned a Master of Divinity from Harvard and has a doctorate from Columbia and Union Theological Seminary, where his specialization was in Buddhist studies. For his dissertation, he translated several early biographies of the Tibetan yogi and poet Milarepa. He has led numerous expeditions and has traveled extensively in India, Nepal, Tibet, Thailand, Japan, and Bangladesh. And according to Father Tizo, what is the rainbow body? This is Father Tizo's definition. It is the actual shrinkage and disappearance of the human body within a short time after death, which is accompanied by paranormal phenomena, such as unusual emanations of light and altered atmospheric conditions in the locality of the deceased. There are various kinds of rainbow body, which correspond to different styles of previous practice, including the complete disappearance of the body. Sometimes hair and nails remain, and they do not have the nerves maybe necessary to be transmuted, but sometimes the whole body disappears, and sometimes there is just the shrinkage of the body. This could be caused by an interruption of the process when the deceased body is touched by someone, or it could also be the result of a different type of practice that the master has been doing over the course of many, many years. And it does not necessarily mean a lesser attainment. So quickly, I'm going to tell you the story of Khenpo Achu. Khenpo Achu died at the age of 81 in 1998. He had been faithful to his purity of life, and he often spoke of the importance of cultivating compassion. He had the ability to teach even the roughest and toughest of types how to be a little gentler, a little more mindful. It was reported that Khenpo Achu was able to pass through walls and fences without obstruction while he was alive. So part of the progression of the master who is going to be able to attain the rainbow body is that while they are alive, there are signs that they are making progress, like the ability to pass through walls and fences. Eyewitnesses reported that a few days before Khenpo Achu died, a long flat rainbow appeared directly above his hut. He wasn't sick. There appeared to be nothing wrong with him. And he was reciting the mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, over and over. Immediately after he died, all the appearances of bodily aging, such as wrinkles, instantly disappeared. His face became youthful like a child, smooth and pinkish. His skin began to shine. Above his house, rainbows appeared for many days. Sometimes they pervaded the whole expanse of the sky. And just before dark, a light similar to that of sun rays shone in the east for a long time. 2 young lamas who were with Khenpo Chao at the time of his death were uncertain about what to do with his body. They saw the translucentness, the shining of the skin, and so they sent word to a nearby monastery asking for guidance. The Nyingma master, who was the head of the nearby monastery, told them, wrap the body in a yellow cloth and do not touch or look at the body for 7 to 8 days. Then, day after day, the 2 lamas observed Khenpo Chao's body under the cloth, becoming smaller and smaller. After 7 days, they removed the yellow cloth and no body remained. Now, this process may have taken less than 7 days, but we don't know that because they did not remove the cloth until 7 days had gone by. During this time, the 2 lamas, as well as other lay people who lived around the monastery, heard beautiful music coming from the sky. Sometimes it sounded like a voice singing, and at other times it sounded like instruments playing. The people smelled a fragrant perfume, and no flies came near the body as it lay there getting smaller and smaller. A few individuals claimed that Khenpo Chao appeared to them in visions and dreams, and one of Khenpo Chao's students felt him tugging on his shirt sleeve and telling him, practice well, meditate well, be attentive. Now, this is very important to the people having experiences with other beings, star beings, other master type beings. Notice that some people are seeing these beings in their dreams and visions. And Khenpo Chao actually said something to one of these people, so you can get telepathic information coming to you. And one of the people felt him physically, touch him. I myself have had that kind of experience myself, where I felt a great being touch the side of my cheek. So it's possible for beings who are in these other realms to communicate with us both in vision and dreams, telepathically, and sometimes even physically. I first heard about the rainbow body from William Henry, who has been on Portal to Ascension. And to me, William Henry is one of my highest teachers. According to William Henry, and with other research that I've done on the rainbow body, the Tibetans believe that the rainbow body great perfection teachings were originally of extraterrestrial cosmic origins and represent the highest form of enlightenment or spiritual realization attainable on Earth. According to the Tibetans, the rainbow body doctrine is taught in 12 other star systems plus our own soul, then Sirius, the star system of Orion, the Pleiades, Cygnus, Lyra, Vegas, Arcturus, Ursa Major, and 4 others. Many of the people here interested in star beings will recognize these star systems, and perhaps you have a connection to one of them. One of the things that I really believe, now, of course, I don't know this to be true, but I believe that there are beings in these star systems that could almost be thought of as our relatives. That beings in these star systems have physical form that is somehow energetically similar to the human body. So this rainbow body teaching is taught here on Earth so that our soul that is so much greater than this physical form that we have now, that it is attached to, and it is moving along its evolutionary path, gaining all the wisdom and experience from this particular piece of clothing that it has on now. And when this body will die, it will take another body. But sometimes great masters, as in the teachings of the rainbow body, take this particular body in this lifetime with them because they transform it into light or plasma. And now the soul has another vehicle that it may use to have experiences on one of these higher realms that the Hermetic teachings assure us exist. And so there are potentially beings from these other star systems, and these beings have bodies that somehow are also able to transform into a lighter type of substance. And then maybe they can travel easier than this physical body could travel. Maybe they can travel easier throughout the star system, or maybe they can get to us in a different way because they have a more spiritually energetic body. I don't know. But I do believe that these guys could be our cousins, our relatives. They have some kind of form that is able to transform a lower, denser type of physical matter into a higher type of matter. Now, if we look at the cover on Father Tizzo's book, this is a painting that is a portion of a mural from the Keilukang Temple, or the Serpent Deity Temple, also known as the Dalai Lama's secret temple in Lhasa, Tibet. The 5 men may be doing a form of meditative practice that is associated with the attainment of the rainbow body. Look who is above them. Here are our 5 physical body guys, but look who's up here and look who's over here. Are these great beings that are in their own rainbow bodies assisting these guys to attain their own? Perhaps there are. Perhaps these are beings in their rainbow bodies, helping these guys attain their rainbow body. Could these beings actually be some of the orbs that people experience within the context of the UFO, UAP phenomena? Well, look at this post that Ryan Bledsoe did a couple years ago in 2019. He said this image was taken in black with no flash. These are all orbs. The orbs we keep seeing are emitting visible light. Look at the colors. Unbelievable that I could find this image to illustrate maybe these are beings. Look, you have the red, you have the blue, you have the light color here, you have the green, you have the orange, and I don't know who that is down there. And here is this image in a bigger way so you can see more clearly. I was like, holy moly, maybe some orbs or lights in the sky that people see are not craft with beings in them. Some may actually be the beings themselves showing themselves to us in their light body form. Now, very quickly, I'm just going to tell you the importance of Ryan Bledsoe posting this. Ryan is the son of Christopher Bledsoe, and Christopher Bledsoe has an amazing story I'm only going to share a portion of. On January 8th, 2007, Chris Bledsoe and his oldest son, Chris Jr., and 3 of his work associates went down to the Cape Fear River in North Carolina to fish. Chris took a walk alone in the nearby woods and saw 3 large orange balls of liquid fire, each about the size of a school bus, hovering close to the ground. Over 4 hours later, he returned to the other men and could not account for the time that had passed. He had no recollection of what had transpired during his missing time. The following day, he realized he was miraculously healed of his Crohn's disease. And ever since that initial dramatic event, Chris and his family have experienced all sorts of unexplainable phenomena, including many sightings of the orbs that his son Ryan photographed in the background of their family home. Chris Bledsoe was on the Jimmy Church show about 2 years ago, and Jimmy Church asked him, now we are getting into the zone of something spiritual, possibly religious, possibly extraterrestrial, just maybe it's all the same thing. Is that where you are today? And Chris said, yep, I agree 100%. They, the beings, come in balls of fire, not a flying saucer. And just a little plug for Ryan Bledsoe. He has a little podcast and it's on YouTube. He has such wisdom, this young man. He's great to listen to. So to summarize, the Tibetan Buddhist rainbow body teachings inform us that there are 12 other star systems plus our own, where when beings master the physical plane of existence, they are able to transform their physical bodies into bodies of light that are capable of existing at a level beyond our current physical senses. And many of these masters are assisting the rest of humanity on our own evolutionary journeys. And in conclusion for the whole presentation, within two great wisdom traditions that have been handed down from teacher to student over many generations, there are teachings which assure us that we are not alone. There exist powerful beings who assist humanity on our evolutionary path. Some are from here, from our own Earth, and although some are from places far away in terms of physical distance or vibrational realms, they are a mere thought apart from us in terms of conscious connection. Some may be showing themselves to us in our skies and in our meditations and in our contact experiences. These beings are guiding us, teaching us, helping us, so that one day humanity will be even as they, and still higher in time, for such is the destiny of humanity. If you're interested in any of my other teachings, I have a website you can go to, pureenergylady.wixsite.com/presentations. It's long. You have to put in the /presentations. I have a Facebook page, Pure Energy Lady, a YouTube channel you can find under Pure Energy Presentations and Intuitive Guidance. I'm on Twitter. I don't tweet much, but I'm there. And I'm at Kathleen B. Covalt. And so I just want to end this saying, with gratitude to the highly advanced beings who are helping us expand our awareness, raise our consciousness, and progress on our own evolutionary path, I send out blessings, blessings, blessings to everyone.
Thank you, dear one. Wow. I am just, that was based on Joan's reaction and my reaction. We're just like, thank you from the depths of my heart for grounding down the rainbow body experience and sharing to us, the possibilities of this soul evolutionary journey that we're all on. I have a deep, deep connection to the Tibetans, and mysteriously, I became the host for your talk today. So I'm just so humbled to hear your stories. And what really hit me, I mean, there's so many points you could touch on based from your presentation. What really hit me is the painting in Dalai Lama's secret temple, and the rainbow body masters and the masters are assisting these beings who are also seeking to attain the higher state. And it just made my heart burst open for all the support we're getting from these ascended beings who are with us in meditations and our journey. And thank you.
Perfect. Perfectly said, Flo. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Good.
It was extraordinary. And I think first of all, seeing the orbs with the rainbow bodies and the beings there really kind of confirms the things that we've been looking at. but the way you described it was really perceptive. And then I just love the way you pointed out all the different beings that we've seen through time, even up in the clouds, and the magic that exists around us. Excellent presentation, Kathleen. We're honored.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hope we get to see you again and hear more from you.